Ozark Season 4 Part 1 Ending Explained. What a 7-hour trip that was. There was also a lot to unpack from the final episode in the season. So let's break it down. Here is Ozark Season 4 Part 1 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The season closed with the most harrowing scene. The scream with no sound whatsoever came from Ruth before it cut to black. Sometimes audio just isn't needed, and in this instance that was most definitely the case. The ending really starts at the point where we're led to think that the Byrdes are finally going to be free of all of the previous 4 years, and they'll get to go back to Chicago and live a more straight life. However, all of it gets pulled out from under their feet. We saw from the moment that the final episode began, flashbacks to the first episode of Season 1 before all of the chaos that is Ozark happened, and we see Marty reflect on these memories. I thought that was a great touch and made it even more powerful when the twist happened. It turned out that Agent Miller was acting on her own and double-crossed the Byrdes, the FBI, and Omar Navarro, and she went against the deal that had just been made, ultimately trying to make him serve time behind bars and for her to be the face of the person who shut down the organization. We see everything going to complete chaos from that moment onwards. Unsurprisingly, as we've seen Navarro kill people for far less in the past, with Javi like a loose cannon. As we saw throughout the entirety of the season, he was then on a mission to take out Marty, as he wanted to do so from the moment they met, and he now believed he had a justifiable reason to. He thought that Marty was behind the double-crossing arrest of his uncle. Whilst this was going on, we saw Wendy with Navarro pleading with him to phone Javi and get him to realize that it wasn't them before he does actually kill him. We see Javi listen and move on from the rampage that he was on, and be persuaded to participate in the deal that Navarro previously took, which will ultimately lead to his own arrest, but allowing Navarro to be extradited. All of this with Javi not being aware. But that's not even the biggest thing. In the final episode, we witnessed Darlene and Wyatt get married and express their love for each other after Wyatt not wanting to be with her in the previous episode. The final thing we see of the pair comes shortly after Javi has agreed his deal with the FBI and is now waiting in Darlene's house. He was there because the drugs that Marty and Ruth got were from Darlene's farm, which at that point in time rendered the cartel's drug influence pointless in that specific deal. Javi claimed that he warned her in the past, and before she could finish speaking, she was shot dead. And what came as an extremely sad moment was when Javi took the gun to Wyatt. If there was ever somebody that didn't deserve to be shot in this show, it was probably him. He should have walked away earlier when he had the chance, that's all I kept thinking. The episode and season finishes with Javi leaving after murdering the pair, Ruth going on a rampage after delivering a note to the house and discovering Wyatt's body. I thought that was the best performance from a single character in the entirety of the season. Her performance was outstanding in the final scene, and it needs to be recognized. She originally thought it was Frank Cosgrove Jr. who committed the murder, but then quickly realized it could have been Javi. After arriving at the Byrdes' house, Jonas stuck to his theme of blurting out information no matter who it puts in danger and revealed the identity of Javi. And the season then closes with the largest of screams that there could possibly be, but in complete silence. It was a powerful moment in the season. Everything was at its height at the end. Although there was some closure and it felt like there'd been a climax, it then elevated even more in the final 10 minutes. But with that being said, there was also a lot left up in the air, which I think was the point. There is essentially a whole other season awaiting. And it feels like we've only just got started with the ending of this show. So what does this mean for the final part? Well, we've got the private investigator who phoned up Agent Miller after the arrest, and it looks like they could potentially be working together, and I think be aiming to take down the Byrdes, as he is extremely suspicious of them. We've got Javi, who is a loose cannon and has murder on his mind 24/7 no matter what the consequence. Darlene is now dead, so there's no need for him to worry about competition, but he does now have Ruth after him. Ruth's revenge, I think, will be an extremely prominent part of the final part of this season, when it gets released. Ruth acts on emotions a lot, and we saw that in this season, so I think that's something that will feature in the next part. I do hope that Ruth doesn't get killed, however, with it being the end, anything is possible at all. The Byrdes' plan to go back to Chicago looks like it could still be on the cards, but I don't think that will happen early on in the new part. I think they're tied to the Ozark for the foreseeable future because of everything that has happened. We've got all of these deaths that have occurred over the years that will most definitely have to be brought up in the final part of Season 4, and I don't think the Byrdes will ever really get to taste that sweet victory and freedom that they desire so much. I think a lot is going to be revealed when the new part does get released. However, sticking with this one, it was a fantastic ending and there's a lot to pick up from in the final part when it does come out. I for one can't wait to see how the story progresses and ultimately comes to a close. So, there you have it. Did you enjoy Season 4 Part 1? Leave a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.